Hello and welcome back to my channel, or welcome for the first time. Today I'm going to be reviewing one of my favorite things I've ever invested in as a DJ that I've only owned for about a year now. This right here is the XDJ-XZ, which is a all-in-one mixer, but it can be used as a controller from Pioneer DJ, which was released in late 2019. Now this is an amazing system, and I'm going to be talking about some of the things that make it so great for a DJ like myself. So this mixer, in my opinion, I think is the bridge from casual DJing to club standard. And what I mean by that is it has most of the things that, DJ controllers will have if you buy a generic DJ controller, but it also has some of the top end stuff in here as well. Now in the year or so that I've had this mixer, I've become a lot more confident as a DJ in general because of, well, how great all the features are and how trustworthy this whole system is. So it's got a great design generally. I got no complaints. It's got two large jog wheels that feel great with jog adjust control like you'd find on CDJs, and obviously the mixer interface in the center, much like the DJM900 Nexus 2. So as I said, this mixer can be used in standalone. I think when they were designing this, that's what they had in mind. But as I did say, it does have a USB around the back here, so you can obviously plug in a laptop or something like that. But I don't think they'll ever produce a system like this that doesn't have a USB option. But yeah, so this works with Rekordbox, Serato, and maybe more, but those are the only two that I've used. But obviously I use Serato for all my gigs, and I use Rekordbox every now and then to just like back things up or whatever. But bear in mind, if you do want to use this in standalone mode, obviously you got 4 faders here, but if you want to use it in standalone, you can only use the 2 faders. But there is a way to get around it, but it's an expensive get around. There are actually link Ethernet ports back here, so you can actually link any CDJ, place either one side, and you can use it as a 4-deck system, and these will become active again. But the cheaper option is use a laptop, and you get these faders anyway. Anyway, obviously up here you have the standard microphone area system thing, and then here you have the very CDJ-esque screen in the middle. Then you've got your master global settings in the top right over here. Now this thing has everything you would possibly need for an all-in-one system, and I even use the built-in mic system right here, and it's never failed me. It even features a feedback reducer system, which I think is quite cool. But in fairness, I think for systems like this, it's pretty normalized now, but I still think it's worth pointing out. It's pretty cool. So for the mics, you get 2 XLRs, or you can use line if you really want. But yeah, I use one of these inputs for my 4-in-1 rack system, but I think I'm gonna get a wired alternative just in case. And yeah, I know I said I wouldn't in a video that I made like 2 weeks ago, but I thought about it a bit more and I was like, you know what? Just in case, it wouldn't hurt, Anyways though, you do get a standard booth monitor route, so if you've got speakers either side of you, you can use it for that. It's pretty standard. But what I do think is quite cool that I didn't know about before in systems like this is that you can actually choose whether or not you want your microphones to output to the booth or not. So I think that's quite a cool thing that they added depending on what environment you're in, if you want the microphone to be on or off. So I quite like that feature. Because there would be some venues where I'd want it on or want it off, because sometimes I link up 2 PA systems for like a big event or something like that, and I send the booth down far away, so I want the microphone to obviously be on so people can hear me. But yeah, it really just depends on the environment that I'm working with, so that flexibility is definitely very useful. So as I said, I'm obviously not a huge standalone type of guy right now. I do enjoy using the stems and the streaming services and all the other features that Serato provides, but you can use up to 2 USBs at the same time in standalone, which I think is quite cool to have 2, so it'd be quite good for a back-to-back sort of situation. And I believe even if you plugged your phone into one of these, I believe it like charges it. I'm not exactly sure, I've never tried, but I think it does. But what's really cool about this is what I like to use it for, is on USB 2, if you plug a good enough USB into there, you can record in the highest quality straight onto the disc. So that's what I've been doing recently to record my gig logs, so it's all in the best quality, there's nothing being lost in there, and it comes straight from the source. So I quite like that. So I think that's quite cool what they've done there, adding that recording function in there instead of having to buy a separate recorder device that plugs into the back of like an XLR in the mixer or something like that. So yeah, very thoughtful. I like that a lot. So yeah, as I mentioned earlier about the CDJ looking screen, it pretty much is. So in standalone mode, it works pretty much exactly how you'd expect it to work if you've worked with CDJs before. So you can search through songs and playlists, or type and search and whatever. But since I don't use standalone mode, there is only one issue that I have with it. And it is that in standalone mode, you can sort by the BPM, for example, and it would show the BPM on the right side for the tracks on the screen. But when I use it with Serato, it doesn't exactly mirror all of the data that's on my laptop screen, like the BPM. am. So on the screen, it'll only show me like playlists and track names. I know maybe I'm making a bit of a fuss. I know it's not a big deal, but if there was anything that I'd like them to update, it would probably just be that, to be honest. Just being able to see what I'm searching by or sorting by instead of maybe having to look at the screen all the time. I don't know. That's just maybe a thing that could be better about this. But apart from that, really, there's no complaints with the screen section. Everything feels right with it, and I'm happy with it. It feels exactly like a CDJ. It's got the spinny knob, all the buttons that you'd expect to find, all the USB buttons, the link record box button. It's all there. But yeah, there's a few more things to note. You got the tag list buttons, obviously, which is familiar for CDJ users. You got the menus, obviously, the select knobs, etc. The quantize button. But moving on, let's go to the players that is on either side. They are obviously identical, why wouldn't they be? So we'll just focus on this one here. So from top to bottom, let's cut off that microphone bit, but you've got the looping area at the top here. Nothing much to say about that, just traditional looping buttons that you'd normally find even on controllers actually, but I use these pretty often. I mainly just use this 4-beat button or press it again to shorten it by half, and then use these cool buttons to extend or maybe shorten it, and then simply just use this exit button to stop the loop. That seems to be the most efficient thing personally. I don't really use these orange buttons that light here or any of the memory stuff. I kind of just do it on the fly. And then here you have the classic vinyl speed adjust knob, which to be honest I don't really use, but I have sometimes when I want to switch things up from slow to fast or vice versa, or maybe even at the end of the night I'll just flick this up, hit the play button, it will go like it will kind of slow down till it stops. And obviously you got the jog button just below that knob. If you do use the CDJ mode, then good for you. But yeah, I prefer to always keep my stuff on vinyl so I can spin back and whatever, and I just use the side of the jog to adjust anything. Yeah, so realistically, that button's never touched for me. I never switch between the modes. It's always just on vinyl for me. And then, as I said earlier, you have the very wonderful, the very powerful jog adjust dial for the wheel itself. So I'll show you how it works. So I always set this to light. So if I spin back, it will spin back for, okay. It will spin back for quite a few seconds at a time. So that's on light, that's on the lightest. So if I change it to all the way to heavy, this is what it will do. Just like that. So it makes the wheel incredibly heavy, which is quite useful for scratch DJs, but you know, I'm not really a scratch DJ, although that might be something quite cool that I want to get into, but you know, as of right now, I like it light. Then you got the slip button. So that basically means it's kind of like a safety button. So you enable that and you can do anything you want with the track. Well, except for maybe pitch and whatever. So you can do anything with the track. You can f it up completely, whatever. And then you hit the button again, it goes back to where it's supposed to be. So yeah, slip I don't really use. Neither do I use the reverse direction button either. Yeah, and then you got the beat sync. Okay, it doesn't matter if you use the beat sync as long as it sounds good. End of debate, okay? I use the beat sync, I don't care. And yeah, down here you got your, you know, normal shift buttons, pitch buttons, tempo, all of that stuff that you would normally find on literally anything ever. And then you got the performance pads, which I absolutely love. I've always used performance pads, and I think I forever will, to be honest, because I don't think I would switch this out for a CDJ system unless, well, my dream does come true and I become a festival DJ. But for a DJ like me, I feel like this is the best controller, or mixer I mean, for all the features that you would possibly want for a gig like that. But yeah, I use the pads mainly for hot cues to get to certain points of a song, because for most songs I've had them set up just so I can, you know, get to points if I need to, or whatever, for example. But yeah, the main thing I use it for actually is stems, which came out about 6 to 8 months ago for me, and I've been using non-stop ever since. So yeah, stems is a big thing for me, but all the buttons feel really good and the whole system is really sturdy. It feels great. So yeah, now the mixer, as I said earlier, is incredibly similar to your DJM 900 Nexus 2. So you have all the things you'd expect: trim, EQ, color effects, all of this stuff, the beat effects, X-Pad, headphones, whatever, crossfaders, everything. But actually, what is quite cool that I didn't mention earlier, that is, if I am on standalone mode, what I can do is I can change the channel 3 and 4 inputs to a line or phono in, as well as obviously the computer if I want to. So I can plug something in round the back and I can have it play through one of these channels if I'm deciding to play in standalone. But I think this was mainly made in mind so that CDJs can connect to these if I want to, you know, hook up any more to expand the system, which I quite like. It's expandable. So if I wanted to change my mind and get some CDJs, I could if I really wanted to, which I quite like. So yeah, as I said, there's link ports around the back there, so I can expand if I want to. So I can use the 200s or the 300s if I'm feeling rich. So back to the mixer panel. Admittedly, I've not experimented much with the effects. I mainly just use the reverb, if I'm being completely honest with you. But that is something I'm looking to like build on and work on in the future. But to be honest, I try not to go too far with the effects. I try and let the stems and all of that speak for itself rather than using effects. But yeah, reverb is good for me. Sometimes I would use the trans, the ping pong, the echo, but it's mainly just stuck on reverb, to be honest. However, I do love the color effects, which is arguably what I use more than the regular effects. I mainly use the filter, so I can filter the highs or the lows, which I like to do. So when I'm speaking down a microphone, I like to filter it down low so that you can still hear like the low ends of the music or the beats of the music in the background while I'm still speaking, so that I'm actually audible. But I also like to use the noise effect, so I can do like a little James hype thing. But I do also like to use the space effect as well, and also the crush effect. Those are quite cool as well. Anyway, so then you get to the faders. I mean, these are the best faders I've ever used, because before this I used a XDJ-SX, I think, which was second or third hand, so it was kind of worn out by the time it got to me. But yeah, these faders are great. Definitely no complaints whatsoever. But yeah, faders respond extremely well. I love the fader assigns right here, so I can choose if I want them to go to the left or the right side of the crossfader. And in the settings, I can actually choose how the crossfader and the actual faders themselves behave. So I can decide whether or not, like when I fade up, it goes like that, or like that, or like that, or whatever. But yeah, I've said this before, but I don't actually use the crossfader, so whatever I do here doesn't work because everything just gets sent through. But again, it's great to have that flexibility, you know? But overall, I know I've had it for a year, but I know there's a lot more to learn with this thing, because the beauty of being a DJ is the fact that I'm able to learn more every time I play, whether it be with the hardware I'm playing with, or music, or anything like that. It's great to learn, and that's one of the things I love about the job. And that there's always something to improve on, which is good, because if there wasn't, it might be a bit more boring. But yeah, the XDJ-XZ mixer is definitely by far the best bit of kit that I've ever owned. Whole thing works incredibly well. I've got no complaints on that side of things. It's never failed me, and everything is just really convenient and thought out on this thing. So if you're a private events DJ like me, I would definitely recommend getting something like this. It's extremely flexible, as I said earlier, and it's the bridge from casual to professional, in my opinion. But I hope you enjoyed this video about me talking about a mixer. But if you have any questions or comments, I'd love to hear it. So leave a comment down below. And if there's anything you guys want to see me do on this channel, let me know and I'll do my best. But yeah, if you enjoyed the video, make sure you hit that like button and also hit that subscribe button too. It's completely free and it just helps me out. But yeah, thank you very much for watching again, and I'll see you next time.